Okay, so first of all, thank you for joining us. Let us start by asking you to introduce a little bit yourself and the company you are representing so that everyone who watches this understands exactly who you are and what do you do.
All right. Well, my name is David Reeves. I'm a technology developer and a veteran mechanical engineering, applied physics, and a background in the Marine Corps as a low altitude air defense officer. We develop technology platforms focused on counter UAS applications.
My name is Spencer Leamy. My background is academic research engineering as well and collaborative autonomy. I studied applied mathematics and I've been working in the autonomy defense field for almost 10 years now. David and I are co-founders of Revenant Industries, which is focused on counter unmanned systems across the not only the manufacturability, but also the software behind it, as well as the actual physical system design.
Can we spend a few more minutes talking about Revenant Industries for someone who is completely outside of this industry and is now just trying to understand what's happening? And so please explain in a more, let's say, plain English, what exactly are you doing? And maybe a few words, what made you start this venture?
All right. Well, I think for us, Revenant Industries is a local air superiority for Group 1 through 3 UAS. And as I was in the Marine Corps, we were seeing that there were not really good solutions for this. And it was kind of my job, and I just saw this big gap. And so initially, Spencer and I started working together actually in the high energy laser field. He was helping me to develop software to focus those high energy lasers onto targets. And we eventually wound up deciding, we could do things that were more accessible, more broadly accessible, and combine not just the expertise we developed in precision pointing across to like a more accessible set of hardware options, but also combine some of the expertise we have in the, and that Spencer has in machine learning and networking and creating network effects.
And so basically, one of the things that we're focused on is two main pillars, right? The body and the mind of these systems, right? And for the adversary systems like bad drones, we want to attack both the body and the mind, right? When we want to optimize ours. So that brings in aspects of manufacturing and design, and as well as in terms of software development, and then AI. AI, one of the big problems with AI is kind of the black box nature of it. So a lot of our work is actually how do we incorporate this in a way that simplifies the end user experience. So the people actually deploying these systems need to be able to deploy them effectively without having an engineering degree. And that's one of the ways we're putting in AI into the system, as well as into other aspects of using lower cost sensors, using AI to increase the fidelity of these systems for like unmanned systems, drones in general, right? You're trying to engage them at very long range, right? And so you need AI to kind of augment your existing hardware analog capability. And what really motivated us, as David was getting, was, I was working in a research lab at Virginia Tech at the time, and we were doing it was called the Mohammed bin Zayed International Robotics Challenge in 2020, and it was part of the problem was a drone intercept problem, ball dangling from a little quad rotor going in a figure eight, and one of the things that really stuck out to me was how difficult that problem was in order to intercept it, and how it was like we had a decent budget, like Virginia Tech was a well-funded university, and we had a group of PhD, master's students and everything all focused on this problem over a course of 3 years. Nobody really solved that problem well. And it was like, hey, if the top end people are not able to do this, what's going to, when you start talking about an enlisted guy on the battlefield, like what realistic hope do they have? And that's been one of our big motivating factors, is how do we protect, our soldiers and and our allies as well, obviously, from this very much emerging and uncountered threat that doesn't fit neatly into kind of any of the other previous weapon systems and things deployed on the battlefield.
As you saw today, I think, in this event organized by InnovX, here in Romania, in the region, we are just starting up to understand what's dual-use technology, to create the space for this ecosystem to grow. So you also had some meaningful interventions today. So maybe to sum up, which would be the key messages that you would convey to the audience? What do you think it's relevant, I don't know, in order to foster this development of this dual-use technology, or maybe some learnings? Maybe someone will take the shortcut and not go the hard way. So what would you share?
So one of the key things is, and as you were getting at, speed. Speed is everything. But not only that, you have to accept failure in the fact that you can't predict all of the problems ahead, and especially if you're a technology developer, traditionally you're not really an end user as well. You don't understand the operational context. Engage them early, often, and try to set up situations where you can fly, fix, fly, right? That would be.
Yeah, I'd say from the perspective of another entrepreneur, it's also very important to find good partners because as Spencer mentioned, you can't do everything on your own. Sometimes you need to find a team. And the way you build those relationships helps you determine what the problem you need to solve is. And once you find the right problem, then you're a good part along the way to solving it. And you know, these relationships can be customer relationships. They can also be collaborator relationships. So
Definitely just to add on to that, definitely finding complementary companies where instead of you trying to focus on solving the entire problem, you get to focus on a narrow sliver, and you find somebody who's like, oh, I can supply you with motors, I can supply you with batteries, and you develop relationships not only with vendors, but with rising companies as well, because they're much more open to that type of mutually beneficial relationship. Mm-hmm. And so focusing on who you can partner with, rather than trying to be greedy and own the whole thing, because you will fail if you try to do that. That's just the simple fact.
Yeah. And one last thing on that topic, we have noticed when you're partnering with a very large company, there can be a bit of a difficult relationship because large companies like to consume. So partner with people who are around the same weight class as you, so that there's more opportunities for cooperation rather than competition. Yeah.
What's your message to, let's say, the public sector, army, universities, those key stakeholders that are really needed in order to make things move? So what should they do? How should they approach? I know maybe there is a need for a hard reset for their cultural way of doing things, but share with us what would you expect from them. So maybe, who knows, the message is going to pass through.
I want to focus on the military right now. I'd say my message would be to give someone a chance and to give them feedback. So perhaps you make an order for a couple prototypes and you give them a chance to show their shot, and then give very, very detailed and critical feedback of what they need to change. So I think that's the best way you're going to be able to encourage the innovation cycle you need, especially in the dual use context.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that, like the public sector, due to the nature of how resources are deployed, is very risk averse. Don't be afraid of failure. Like, if you want to mitigate the size of the failure, absolutely. But if it becomes a situation where you have to do 6 months of paperwork just to get a $5,000 type grant, it's not worth it. People get pushed away, and they won't be able to survive, right, without that demand signal. So higher frequency, lower dollar amounts, higher risk tolerance. That's what I would say. And then the other part is not necessarily changing regulations, but just consolidating who you need to talk to, right? One of the big things is, you go from one government person to another regulator, to another regulator, to another regulator. You've got, by the time 10 months have passed, and all you're trying to do is get a single piece of paper properly signed. So having well-defined pathways within the existing system that's what I would encourage, right? In any way you can speed up.
Hopefully we are going to find that cultural reset button where it is. So one final question. I guess you have your own ideas after the whole event today. You saw the speeches, how everyone is tackling this problem. So maybe there is a question I haven't asked you. So maybe some things you would like to share after this event organized by InnovX. So what would you share? What would you say? And I haven't thought of asking you.
So this is maybe a little more on the cultural side, and this is something not just probably a little bit less of a problem in Romania than the rest because you guys are on the flank. But Europe seems to be afraid of its own strength, right? And investing in offensive capability is a way of deterring. And viewing that not as a negative, right, is a cultural understanding that the United States does not have that problem, right? But Europe as a whole, so far as I've seen, definitively is afraid of becoming strong to deter versus just defending your borders.
Yeah. And the thing I would like to say is a good question is like, what are the opportunities for cooperation? What are the areas where we can come together and find something that's really going to benefit everyone involved? And then how do we make those transatlantic friendships? So
yeah, because it is people and business that are the ties that bind, not political rhetoric.
Yeah.
Yeah.